Hi, welcome to my channel, and if you are new here, welcome. Today I'm reading an Eyeless Jack X reader, and I just want to let you guys know before we start reading, I have not read this through, so I might get some words mixed up, because when I try to read fast, I get words mixed up to a lot, and then I have to go back and reread it. So we'll see how this goes, and yeah. Also, if you hear noise in the background, that might be my brother because I am watching him. So, yeah. So, consider liking and subscribing, and let's get started. I sat staring out the bus. It was a normal day of school, kinda. We were going on a field trip to a prison. We were going to talk to inmates and blah, blah, blah. All I was pleased about was getting to pick who I wanted to talk to. I hummed about the thought of maybe meeting a handsome man who was in for no reason more than weed possession or for a bogus reason. I laughed softly and smiled as I looked out the window of the bus and watched trees and other things pass. I soon adjusted my HLHC hair. After sitting still for 30 minutes, I sighed and looked over at the other kids sitting around me before looking out the window again. But I had realized we arrived. The bus pulled over in the front and opened the door, to which all kids flew out. I sighed and waited before getting off last. I looked up at the huge gray building, which considered of many floors. I think that's supposed to say floors. I smiled as everyone headed in, me being the last one, of course. Each person met a police officer after they were patted down and whatnot, and was asked the same questions to each one. After I entered the building with a name tag on, I looked around before an officer walked up to me. "Who would you like to see?" they asked, and smiled warmly at me. I thought for a moment and soon smirked. "The most dangerous man you have here," I said in a snarly way, which the officer face went pale. Switched to third. You raised a brow at the officer, who laughed nervously. "Are you sure?" they asked as she looked at the other officers, which were with pleading looks. You nodded your head quickly. "Yes, I do, and there's nothing." You were interrupted by an officer walking up and butting in. "I'm sorry, we cannot do that," they spoke out, to which the original officer that was helping you left. "Too bad I'm not changing my mind," you shot back, in which the officer sighed. "You won't be able to talk to them like the others." It spoke out and crossed their arms over their chest. "Okay, and?" you asked, and mimicked their action. The officer frowned and turned on their heels, heading off. "Follow me, please." They sighed out and handed to some stairs. You followed closely behind. After a moment, you walked down to a blank hall. You reached a mental door with nothing else around. The officer sighed and popped open a little slit in the door. "Company," they called in before turning their heels to leave you alone in the vacant hall. You walk up to the door and soon sat down on the floor in front. "Hello?" you asked as you raised a brow across. You raised a bow across your arm. No response. Are you dead or something? Because it would be lovely if you responded. You hummed out, to which no response. You hit the door, hearing a rattling choke throughout the hall. "Hello, asshole. I'm talking to you," you groaned out in fury. "Says the one being mean," a hoarse male voice said behind the door. You blinked, surprise. "Oh, okay, wow, you sound bad. Are you okay?" you asked, looking through a small slit which showed nothing more than blackness. He didn't respond. "My name is YN. I'm 17, and the only reason why I'm here is because of a field trip," you said, trying to get him to respond to something. No response. Again. "Okay, don't respond. I'll just talk your ear. Okay, don't respond. I'll just talk your ear off," you shouted at him. "So I like the color. Favorite colors. Favorite tint? I think that's what it stands for. Movies are my favorite. I'm terrified by your fear. I am your height. I weigh your weight." That's what it says here. You retain for a moment until he hit the door, scaring you and making you shut up. After a moment of silence, you spoke. "Bro, that wasn't funny. Why are you still here?" he groaned out, his harsh voice. "Because you're supposed to be the most bad guy here. You aren't funny," you shot back. "I'm the most bad," he laughed out. They still fear me after what, 20-ish years? 20-ish years? I think that's supposed to say 20-ish years. "What year is it?" he asked. You heard some type of shift from behind the door. I'm just going to say the current year, 2022. It says 2018 here. You answered, to which was silence for a moment. 28, he said suddenly. "What?" you asked, and raised a brow. "It's been 28 years since I've been put in here, and I still haven't aged." He laughed out, making you shiver. "What did you do?" you asked after a moment of silence. He didn't respond for a long time until he said, "Do you really want to know?" "Honestly, I'll run away in fear." He cocked out darkly. You bet $20 he was smirking behind the door. "Well, tell me, mister," you said, and you realized you didn't know his name. "Well, I killed a man and ate his kidneys." "I wonder that was yours would taste like." He laughed out, and making your blood run cold. Your eyes widened as you shifted and stared at the dark opening in fear. All you heard was a pounding in your ear, and you swore he heard it too. You didn't. You didn't. Your voice cracked in fear. You couldn't believe this man. My. Wouldn't you like to see? Wouldn't you like to see yourself? He cooled. Out of laughter once more, he was toying with you. You soon grew angry at him for toying with you, to which you kicked the door with your foot. And since you were sitting on the floor, you couldn't have hurt a lot less. Once you kicked the door with the bottom of your foot, you felt a wave of pain shoot up to your right let up your right, caused you to swear and pull your leg closer to yourself. Dumbass, the man laughed loudly at you. You must be new to kicking things if it hurts. You must be new to kicking things if it hurts. Fucker, it's just a way of kicking the door. You shot back through jittering teeth. You looked down at your ankle and started to move it in circles. Slowly, you winced faintly. I'm fine. You soon thought to yourself as you turned your attention back to the opening if the door. What's your name? You soon asked, since you were silent for maybe 3 minutes. It was so awkward. Jack, he responded so quickly it made you shocked. So, Mr. Jack the Cannibal, what can you tell me about yourself? You asked soon, scooching closer to the door and trying to look through the way. Why do you want to know? It's not like you'll be back here. Jack groaned out in annoyance of you, to which you smiled and laughed. I'll be back, I promised. I'll promise you that, since it seems like you never get visitors. You hummed out calmly as you pulled your knees closer to your chest and raised your head on your knees. Jack was silent for a moment before sighing out. Why aren't you scared? Well, I bet you're not scared as my parents. You said you're not as scary as my parents. You said and soon looked down at your feet and sighed as you thought of them and how they hit you and called you names. You avoided them at all cost, and honestly, they didn't care. They never even wanted you, but you were stuck with them. They gave you a house key and always told you to come home after 8 since you'd be asleep, and in the morning they were going to be gone before you were awake. If you had returned home for anything, you expected a beating or being told to clean. So if you left something at home when they were home, you wouldn't head home and always find a way to manage till night. Why are you so quiet, Ryan? Jack asked, which caused you to look up at the slit of the door, to which you seen an ashy gray hand with black sharp nails. What are you thinking? Jack asked, to which you shifted uncomfortably in your spot. Nothing, you responded, to which Jack pulled his hand back from the hole in the door, and you see him shift, to which you assume he was looking at you, but you couldn't even tell. Why do you lie? which you were going to respond, but an officer called you. Miss Ellen, it's time for you to leave, the officer said. You looked over at the officer inside before turning your attention back to the door's hole. I'll see you later, Jack, you said before getting off the floor and dusting yourself off before walking over to the officer who walked you out of there and back to the main area, which everyone got on the bus and headed to school. So that was it for chapter 1. I will sometimes be doing multiple parts, like part 2 and 3 I might do next, but let's try and get this to 10 likes. That would be great. And come back for more. Bye, guys.